how to set up the Half-Life dedicated server. Hello, it is I, the amazing Kitty Assaultus, with a tutorial video, and today I'm going to show you guys how to set up the Half-Life dedicated server. Now, of course, it's got deathmatch source thing, but that's not what we want. What is that? Installed? And today I'm going to show you how to do that. And of course, I find it already installed on here. Well, at least that's one of the easiest methods for installation of this to get it installed on here. So I want to make sure, it seems like I probably already installed it. So let's see if it works here. Works. But this is not what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how to install it using the Steam CMD utility and setting it up is going to be a bit of a not a headache, but it's going to be a little of an interesting experience for some of you who are not used to doing this. Now, we're going to download it, and because I just don't like doing this kind of shit, now pardon my language, so we're downloading the client. We'll close this out. So we're going to log in and anonymous. You can also use your Steam login, but I'm not going to use my Steam login. So the first thing I do is I'm going to install the server components. And so they install in the Steam app folder. And then you go to the folder common. So while it just downloads the client, but it seems like we're not getting access to. But that's basically how you would download it. But I'm probably gonna have to restart it and reconfigure it. So I'm gonna go log into my account. So I'm going to go to my email. So I don't show that on my screen. And then I'm gonna set up the download, but I have shown you how to do this. And so it just runs to config, and if it doesn't download that way, you can just do it this way. Let's see if it downloads now. Maybe it requires So It's downloading right now. Because I just put the command in again. So here you can see it's downloading. So the first So this is the first step. And so it's going to verify the installation, which I'm glad it does the We're verifying validate. We're going to get the next games. Like, I think this is Team Fortress Classic. We're going to be installing here. So we're going to get to the Half-Life folder, and we've got the dedicated server pretty much installed. But we do not have, like, one of the games. It's not in here. What the heck, Valve? You said it would be in there, but that's fine. We will be going here. And I know most of the command lines for these very much. So, Valve. Think, Valve, think. So what we're doing here is validating the installation, which is what validate is. So we don't have Counter-Strike. I thought we had Counter-Strike in here. Huh. Interesting. So we already do have Counter-Strike in here. But we're going to go ahead and download it anyway, just to make sure. Just to make sure it's in here. All the files are already in here, because... And then I'm going to show you guys how to set up so it's fully installed. The Counter-Strike's already in there, good. So the next game I think will be Team Fortress Classic. So we're now installing the next game. Or this might be Deathmatch Classic. I think Deathmatch Classic's 40. That is TFC. So the next game will be Dave Defeat. So this is one of the reasons why I kind of like to do this first. I like to install these games, but what you do is you log in to your actual Steam account, because I've just finally kind of figured out how to get everything working, except I haven't been able to get it to connect to the network because it requires me having access to the router. Which I don't have access to the router. Only my brother-in-law has access to the router. But I'll get him to add the protocol, the UDP protocol, which you'll have to look that stuff up. You have to look up a little bit of information on UDP protocols and routers and Half-Life dedicated server. There's related information on that subject. There's a lot of that information on the internet. You'll find it. So, and you'll probably notice that some of you more astute people might notice I don't have Ricochet in here, because Ricochet sucks. It's totally garbage. The only game I would ever install in here is Deathmatch Classic. If anything, because Deathmatch Classic is fun. So now we're going to be installing some of the Condition 0 content. We'll be doing that next. But we're installing opposing force content right now, so that's good. Yeah, I trust it's going to validate. It's going to verify. Let's install Condition 0. So now we basically have all the games in the house dedicated server, but we need to do some setting configuring, and before we're gonna have to do some modifications to the dedicated server before we can use the dedicated server. And one of these modifications I'm going to highly recommend you do is and I'm going to highly recommend this. Is to go into your Half-Life folder. Now, after we're done with this, so we're going to close that down because we don't need it for the moment anyway. We don't. But where I'm going to go is here, and we're going to go here. Do that. Double click, multiplayer only. And we're going to just copy that. And we're going to go to Half-Life. Because, believe it or not, Half-Life is set for single player only. And it won't show up unless it's multiplayer only in the list of games. So we've got it all set up. And what we're going to do now is go to config, and we're going to add, at least to Half-Life and Counter-Strike, our little command parameters that we want Counter-Strike Dave defeat, so let's make sure it's all in here. I think it's already in there. So now in Counter-Strike, now we're going to go to like the games that we're going to want to just do this with. Because this will automatically set whatever settings we want. And this is a way of setting it up to where you can set up friendly fire to disable it. And yeah, you probably know how to disable friendly fire here. But so where's config? But this is the easiest, this is the only way that I know to actually add these automatically start up. And I would highly recommend doing this. You know, I've got, and so I'm done here. As far as I'm done here. I'm recording again, back to record. So we're gonna now copy our file, or Steam CMD, to whatever folder we want. I'm preferably going to install this to the My Games folder, and then we'll get to some of the more fun stuff, things like what is it? Things like Amx Mod, which I will highly recommend you do install. I actually have the download links and information links. Actually, you don't even really need the information links for most of those, because most of those are the games that I would say are more important than that I would say are more important. So we got all our Half-Life games. Now we need to. Now we don't necessarily need to install this, but I would highly recommend installing this, because this will actually add a bunch of utilities to or not utilities, but a bunch of utility to the game that we have here, the games that we have already in. And then I'll probably, and this will be worth doing with each game that we have in here. We will be installing Amx Mod. Mainly because Amx Mod is a very useful utility for many things that and I'll go through some things regarding map cycle, changing the map cycles, adding the only way to add maps to the map cycle, so that way when the time changes you can change maps, is just to add them manually to the text file .txt file called maps, called map cycle. And I'll show you where that file is. And that file is within each game subdirectory. There's a file called mapcycle.txt. TXT. And it's a good file to actually use. And I'll make sure to put the web links to related stuff in there, including the Steam App ID, which I think might be worth looking at to see what else Valve has in there, because it's a fairly useful resource that nobody links to. When they talk about the dedicated server for Half-Life, nobody links to this, and I don't know why they don't do it. It is irritating. But we should have most of this stuff for our games in here. I'm going to show you guys how to set up Amx Mod, because Amx Mod adds a few functions to our dedicated server that we might want to have. And so now that we're done copying, now that I'm done copying to the location I want to copy, yeah, I'm going to show you where we're going to install this. And I've already got it set up here, Steam CMD. So it's going to install to that directory because I wanted to actually install the thing there. I felt it would be most appropriate. We're going to do select mod, and then we're going to go to where we have our game directory files. So we're going to go to we're going to leave this alone since we're actually going to be installing Half-Life. We got one for the Specialist. And Earth Special Forces is a good mod. That is an excellent mod. Excellent Dragon Ball Z mod. So we're going to do this for each game. I got Amx Studio installed on here, which... Amx Studio. But that's not what I want. I want Amx Mod installation. So we're going to do this with each game. With each game that we have here, I should have the updated files for Team Fortress Classic in there. So we'll do Team Fortress Classic. In fact, that is one other game that I will probably have to go back to and configure. So which game do I want to do? Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike. So we got Counter-Strike in here. And then I will show you how to install the updated, more up-to-date versions of that thing for, but I will have to go back in here and enable friendly fire stuff for like, C0. We got condition 0 in here. Make sure it's that. And then we can do day of defeat. And then we can do day of defeat. This is we do that to every game that is supported. That's not where I want to go. I want to go here. But we do that to every game that is supported. By this. Because what this does is that this adds an option, adds compatibility. Not add compatibility, add some features that will, the ability to use some plugins like things like Galileo, which you saw in this folder, which allow you to do map voting. Ain't that cool? You can customize, have more customization on your Half-Life server than what you get in the base game. So Team Fortress Classic. So we've got Day of Defeat. So now we should have the most up-to-date stuff. So not the most I mean, that is probably the most up-to-date as far as most people are concerned. But I feel we can do better. So let's start with like Counter-Strike. Amx Mod, of course, when installed Amx Mod, replace the old files with our newer versions. But we're gonna go to Day of Defeat rather. And then we're going to install the new base version. And I wanted to actually install the latest release of Amx Mod is because the latest release of Amx Mod, the most recent, which is not the most recent version of it for base content. But this will give us a little bit more. But this will give us a little bit more control. And let's see. And now that we're back to recording, I'm going to show you guys something a couple of things before we do anything, is that we're going to go and you use whatever your firewall is. Mine is Komodo Firewall. I highly recommend this. It's a lot more simplistic than the totalitarian, fascistic Windows firewall. And some people don't like the word fascist. I guess use authoritarian. Yeah, it works too, but not but. And so we already have it on custom, and we are going to set up we're going to first set up TCP. Any port. We're just going to do that. So now allow UDP out for Mac, any Mac, and we're going to just set up TCP. And we're going to set both of those up in case our firewall doesn't like that. Like, there you go. It's just configured in the firewall. But I want to make sure I've got some other settings. HIPS rules. Of course, I'm probably going to go and delete that one, because it's an old entry. And we're going to add a custom rule set. So we can application HLDS. So we're going to add that one in. So now we got a new entry in. File rating. File list. We're going to see if HLDS is in here as well. Because we're actually going to be changing. I'm going to delete that anyway. Remove. I'm going to delete that because that's so I'm going to go to see if I can find HLDS. I don't think it's in here. But it might be in here, so I don't know where it is. Add files. Most of my games still in here. I'm going to go here. So where is it? Where is it? And so there's another entry. So this will be. So I have to go looking for stuff. It might already be in your entries. A bit tedious. So Not too tedious in my experience. And I think we have we're kind of going looking around here. But it's gonna be in here. HODS. I'm gonna just delete that and add the other one. And add the other one because I think it would be good idea, convenient. What folder are we loading? We're loading from Steam. We're gonna add trusted. And we're also going to add HLTV for the hell of it. To trusted. And we could actually add that in to the other things we wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. Because now we have most of our settings and our firewall set up in case that becomes an issue. And we have the that Amx Mod. But we're going to go here and I'm going to show you what I was talking about with map cycle. Mapcycle.txt contains maps. You want to add maps to this. So we got bootcamp bounce. Let's add a bounce. And let's see what other maps we got. And these will show up. Now show up. And and these will now show up in the list. So if you're missing maps in the list, this is how we add them to the list. And you can add like custom maps into the game. You can add custom maps into the game this way. I think I'm gonna do this. Frenzy. One of my favorite maps in all of Half-Life is Gasworks. One of my personal favorite maps. Or, yeah. We have Rapid Core. Let's stick that after that one. And we can actually put that before. So that way there's like some continuity. I think bounce would actually be good to put in after Undertow, since those kind of. And we got the Snark Pit in there. Let's add some transit. And there you go. We've added some maps to map cycle. And we can do the same thing with other games like Counter-Strike, where we don't have any maps in the list. like Vegas. Yeah, DE Vegas is not even in that. I don't think that map is in Counter-Strike 1.6. So you can also go here and you can add whatever maps are not in there. Do you prefer to customize the list to my liking? So if we load Half-Life, is your UDP port. We don't change that. You can do internet or LAN. And we have maps, and this is just reading whatever maps are in the folder, in the maps folder. So let's pick Crossfire, and that turns on Valve anti-cheat. I always recommend disable that. So let's put 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're on LAN because I can't go into anything. And it just crashed, didn't it? So let's load the server, and you see now see the maps we added to the list now show up, and oddly enough, now whatever maps here are showing up too. It's very interesting how that is, being this weird thing about Half-Life that I always found to be strange. So we have our settings actually save. So friendly fire is enabled. We got flashlight in the game. So I'm going to join the LAN game for Half-Life, and let's hope that finally. And so let's kind of demonstrate some stuff with the dedicated server and what you can do in the utility, because we can. That's weird. So we're on the internet, but we're on LAN. Now I don't know why I have no internet. Weird. So I don't know why we're having some connection issues. So I'm having some issues with syncing. Let's see. So we can see the information on the server list, and I might have this setting not properly set up, or I might have to restart the server. It's just being button noggin. Turn it off. I'd have to restart Steam though. Maybe I actually probably needed to restart Steam, so let's go to Half-Life and let's try this again. I don't think I needed to change anything. Of course, Valve anti-cheat is stupid. I don't like Valve anti-cheat. I really don't like it at all. So let's load it again. And try this again because I'm going to show you guys how things work in the Half-Life dedicated server, how those work. So are we getting connection? Yes, we're getting connection. What? Parse and bad type. What? Fuck. Am I gonna have to go into my Half-Life folder? So sometimes I have little weird issues. See, this would not be a good video unless a little tweaking had to be done. So I need to check my settings, make sure they're. This should be a problem. In order to show you guys how to do this. I figured it out. It wasn't anything that I had set up. It was the fact that it wasn't that I didn't have a couple of things installed that I normally have installed, and it was like that was the problem. That was why we weren't loading. And I basically went through and fine-tuned my settings. Yeah, Half-Life looks pretty good when you go through the settings and you and see that's the Amx mod kicking in. And if you type 25 minutes crossfire. If we try to change the gravity from we try to change it to 250 from here, it won't be able to do that. But one of the ways I can do it is I can go here and go into I can change it from the console, and now we got like gravity change. So whereas we had it on the normal gravity, we can change things. So let's change the gravity through so let's just change that. $800. Well, I don't know how you do it from here. I guess you have to, but if you wanted to change it back, $800 is the default gravity, and now it's just like pretty cool, huh? Pretty neat. You can do certain things like that in the provide user permissions. This would not be that big of a problem. And I think I fixed my game. My game must have corrupted itself. So we're it's like, no. That sucks. But I got it all working.
5 minutes remaining. 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 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, lewd. What? And kicked me out for whatever reason. I don't know what that's all about. But you see, tells us, and that's about it. And it'll even tell you the next map. So that's one of those things I would highly recommend installing, considering that it can be very useful. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, take care, everyone.